undefeated 7-0. This kid is a tremendous athlete. So Scoggins is going to have his hands full tonight.
You're right, Casey. I saw him at the weigh-ins, undefeated 7-0. Little jacked up looking guy. This guy, Josh the Jabberwocky Smith, did not come here to lose.
No, the Jabberwocky is something else, man. He has all sorts of skills. He can swing for the fences. He can get you to the ground. He has submission skills. He can do it all. But I'll tell you what, Scoggins here, he has the house behind him. And like you said, he's training with that UFC vet, his big brother, in the house and in his corner tonight. So I'll tell you what, it is anybody's.
Matchup. Yep, it's going to be a good one. Josh Smith now in the cage with fighting with North Carolina United Martial Arts out of Gastonia, North Carolina. He's been training.
And now his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, Jared the Psycho Scoggins.
Looks like some of the audience in attendance are so happy they've taken their shirts off and waving them around in the air like a helicopter. And enter Jared the Psycho Scoggins with the entire crowd behind him. He has trained his whole life with Revolution. His whole camp came with Revolution. According to head coach Jimmy Fowler, Jared the Psycho Scoggins has the fastest hands in the gym. And when you're talking about a gym like Revolution, that's something to boast about.
Well, exactly, like because you're talking about Justin Scoggins, his big brother. He's in that mix as well, and you know how fast that kid is.
Some of the training partners Jared has over Revolution are Cody Wilson, a name that I think a lot of people, if you haven't heard of now, you will in the future. I expect big things out of him, possibly even a berth on the Ultimate Fighter season coming up. Sarah McMahon, you've probably heard of her. She's a UFC women's martial artist, and she was just recently in a bout with one rowdy Ronda Rousey. You have Justin Scoggins, like Casey mentioned. You have Tanner the Hammer Saraceno, Jimmy Fowler, Chad Burns, Anthony Canzano, and a list of other killers. So definitely a great camp behind the Scoggins fighter. Said that his camp was good, said his weight cut was perfect.
We know this is a group, too, that has also been influenced years gone by Pitch Black. Of course, Justin Scoggins, as a child, was trained by Ray Thompson. So that's a style that they've also implemented into their game. It's sort of a core piece. And so when you've mixed that with the Revolution crew and the ground game of Jimmy Fowler, you get a very complete package right there.
That's a really good point, Casey. And, his older brother, Justin, still, even though removed from training with Pitch Black, still employs that lead leg first style.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, 5 3-minute rounds for the vacant USFFC flyweight title. Introducing first, the fighter on my right, fighting out of the red corner, representing NC United Martial Arts of Gastonia, North Carolina. He is undefeated, 7 wins and 0 defeats. He's the current Fight Lab flyweight champion. Give it up for Josh the Jabberwocky Smith.
Now, when you're talking about Josh Smith, the first
and
fight
now his opponent standing across the cage and fighting out of the blue corner. He fights for Revolution Mixed Martial Arts, Spartanburg, South Carolina. His record, 3 wins, 1 defeat. The current Valor Fights flyweight champion, Jared the Psycho Scoggins.
As I was about to say, Josh Smith, the first bout of his career
Your
was a
referee when the
decision
action
win.
begins, Adam
Okay,
Ginsberg.
since then, he has been on. He has finished every single one of his opponents by stoppage, by submission. He is a finisher to the nth degree.
Wow. Well, this is going to be an electric fight. The crowd on their feet in high anticipation for this one.
Scoggins with those hands low, that kickboxing style.
Yep, he has.
Of course, with tremendous reach and height advantage over Josh Smith. But Smith has been contending with that his entire career. Whoa, it looked like it slashed across the eye of Josh Smith. Look, he's still wincing there.
Gave him a little haircut with that, and his eye is in trouble. Looked like that may indeed be the case.
Yeah.
Jared Scoggins showing some fast hand speed and foot speed early on in this fight.
And you know, eye problems, that's not something that you need this early in the fight with someone like Jared Scoggins.
Jared definitely using that lead leg as a weapon. You know, his hands are low. You'll see his brother do that sometimes. You'll see a similar style from the Thompson brothers, Stephen Thompson.
Look at this, so fast. These guys are unbelievable. It's like we're on fast forward here.
I mean, these guys are in the Matrix, Casey. The speed is unbelievable. Jared's ability to get out of those punches, circle out, and then land some strikes of his own, looking good so far. Good leg kick. Can Josh get the takedown?
Now I'm looking at the ribs of Jared Scoggins. It looks like he's taking a shot of some sort. They're low, some red along the rib cage. It doesn't seem to affect him at all, but it's interesting to notice there.
Jared Scoggins, an incredible competitor, but not unbeatable. He is coming off a loss. He had a tough decision loss down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, not too long ago. Looking to bounce back tonight in Greenville at the TD Convention Center for USFFC 22. The trademark Scoggins tattoo along the back, just like his older brother, UFC fighter Justin Scoggins. Great spinning kick, able to connect a little bit. Jared Scoggins landing some good strikes against his opponent, Josh Smith. Casey, we've seen a lot of leg kicks tonight.
Oh, here we go. Great takedown there by Jared Scoggins into a very dominant position over the undefeated Josh Smith.
This is that time where Jared uses that jiu-jitsu.
We could be setting up an arm triangle right here. This is not a good position for Josh Smith whatsoever.
Jared needs to get over to the other side, get his knee over, and find himself on the other side of Josh Smith into a half mount, side mount.
Scoggins creating a tremendous amount of pressure there, but still look for him to pass over to the opposite side if he does that.
This could be an early night for Josh Smith if Jared can get over. Content, though, with being on that side.
Look at this. Josh Smith escapes. And now Jared Scoggins with relentless ground and pound.
Wow, what a first round for Jared the Psycho Scoggins, showing a little bit of everything from hand speed, leg kicks, takedowns, and some good jiu-jitsu at the end.
Well, just a touch ahead of Josh Smith in every range tonight so far, and a lot of it has to do with that range. You know, in addition to having the height and the reach advantage over Josh Smith, he is so unorthodox and so hard to time.
Yeah, and the kid's got power. I mean, I'm glad this is going to be a 5-round fight. We're going to get to see a lot of action here in the flyweight division.
Well, it could be 5 rounds.
It could be
There's
5
so
rounds.
much explosiveness here. Anything could happen at any time.
Jared Scoggins doing a great job mixing in his feints with his hands, staying out of the range of Josh Smith, utilizing what is probably a small reach advantage over him.
And listen to that crowd. They're still going nuts here in between rounds. All right, the Jabberwocky pacing about. He's ready to get back in there and perhaps turn the tide of this fight, because the first round was all Jared Scoggins.
Jared Scoggins, low hands, very confident in his stand-up ability to keep your hands that low like that.
You know, and if you possess the speed and the skill to do it, it can really set up and neutralize a lot of the attacks of your opponents. They don't really know what to expect. Muhammad Ali did it, you know that.
Yep. And in a way, it almost baits your opponent into coming in with a false sense of security.
Nice, that was a big head kick. Josh Smith with a very dynamic move, and it's followed up by 2 dynamic moves by Jared Scoggins.
Jared Scoggins going for a takedown and unable to secure it. Now has a in the lock of Josh Smith. This might be Josh Smith's opportunity to
look at that. Beautiful transition to the leg of Jared Scoggins right off of the front face lock.
Jared Scoggins getting out, creating some space, and back into the center of the cage they meet.
I'll say this. That is the style that Josh Smith needs to employ to be successful. He does not need to stay on the outside where Jared Scoggins can land those sick round kicks.
Jared Scoggins has the reach advantage, might also have the speed advantage. Left straight out of nowhere, tags Josh Smith, makes him think twice about it. Those hands are so low, Casey, but that's by design. That is on purpose.
Nice, and look at this Josh Smith closing the distance upon the break, looking for a big overhand right. Trying to make this fight a little dirty.
Jared Scoggins looking to pick his shot.
Beautiful catch there by Josh Smith, but Scoggins so slick. Right out off the cage and back to the center of the cage.
You know, there's a lot of, as you might guess, striking similarities between Jared and his brother, UFC fighter Justin Scoggins. Both so light on their feet, bouncing around, never stopping, never getting off the toes of their feet.
Absolutely. Beautiful underhook here by Jared Scoggins, looking for the second takedown of this bout.
Speed, such a factor in the flyweight division here at USFFC 22. And speed kills in a lot of the divisions of martial arts, but when you got guys this fast, you're in for what could be an electrifying fight. So far, that's exactly what we're getting between these two competitors here tonight.
Well, undoubtedly, although they are in one of the smallest weight divisions in mixed martial arts today, they've both proven that they have both finishing power and submission ability.
Not to mention cardio for days. When you get to some of the smaller weight classes, cardio is less of a factor.
Well, there's not a lot to move around there.
Josh Smith maybe picking up a little ground in that second round. However, I think Jared was able to control the striking exchanges, did not necessarily land too many big shots, but seemed to get the edge of some of the exchanges that took place.
Well, Scoggins is the hometown boy, so you got to think that he's probably taken that second round, just like you said. It was pretty close. It was kind of close, but again, Scoggins controlling the distance and the range as he saw fit, and that really speaks worlds to the judges.
At this point in time, Casey, does Josh Smith need to start looking to get this fight down to the ground, or do you think his stand-up is sneaky enough to where he can break that defense and land some shots?
Well, he's been unable to really get a rhythm going with his strikes. You saw a couple of those unorthodox methods, and they were followed up, and answered by Jared Scoggins with unorthodox methods of his own. So, it's really hard to trick the trickster here. I think Josh Smith needs to close the distance, stay inside, and control from there. And if he can get the takedown and control, then do that. Because I think that the takedown is really going to be a defining portion. That last round, if a takedown had occurred, I think that would have signaled the winner of that round.
That could have been the difference right there. Here we are at round 3, championship bout. Josh Smith, the champion. Jared Scoggins, the challenger.
And that's one thing, Josh Smith, he's going to have to be willing to take one to give one.
Yep.
When Scoggins lands a big shot, he sort of backs out of there, and then he has no chance in the world of landing. He's going to have to take one and keep coming forward, bull his way in, and do work in that method.
Josh Smith, the more compact of the two fighters, perhaps packing a little bit bigger punch. Can't say that for sure, but he definitely has some heat in those hands. Looking at the fan poll that we did, it looks like Jared Scoggins enjoys a pretty hefty fan prediction over the victory. He's at 87% of the fans think Jared Scoggins will win. 13% of the fans think that the champion will walk away.
And that's absolutely crazy because, at 3-1, that's far cry from the 7-0 that Josh Smith has. We thought Josh Smith was going to be on top here. He ends up on his back. So squirrely is Jared Scoggins.
Both these guys with tremendous speed, and you're right. Josh Smith, knowing that he's undefeated and the champion, probably came in here with a little chip in his shoulder thinking that he was being counted out of this fight before it even started.
Well, Josh Smith always comes to win, but so does Jared Scoggins. Jared Scoggins passing the guard of Josh Smith, and it could be the start of a Von Flue choke here. Josh Smith needs to let go of the neck of Scoggins. It's doing nothing for him here. It can get him in a bad spot.
That Von Flue choke is one of those ones you don't even notice happened until the ref's pulling them off.
Oh, here we go. Beautiful transition there by Josh Smith back to his vertical base.
Jared Scoggins imposing a physicality onto Josh Smith here up against the cage. Looking for a single. He's got the ankle up. Can he trip him down? And he does.
Back down to the mat is Josh Smith looking for the submissions, but I'm going to tell you, Jared Scoggins, He trains with Jimmy Fowler.